like to give you a thrill.
Alfred Hitchcock Show. Every week at this time, you'll hear 30 minutes of sheer excitement from the man who makes the movies that everyone remembers. The famous director who gave you Spellbound, Suspicion, Rebecca, The Lady Vanishes. The gentleman they call the Cavalier of the Macabre, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock.
I'm a little worried about mysteries these days. I think we're getting altogether too many sinister-looking butlers. Hands coming through sliding panels and such. You see, I'm interested in people, in characters. Horrible characters. I like to crawl inside a man's mind, if I can possibly do so, and find out what makes him behave like a madman or an imbecile. That's why I took a fancy to this story by Francis Iles called Malice Aforethought. This fellow Iles doesn't tease you. He comes right out and tells you what happens. But he doesn't tell the why. He leaves that up to us. Up to you and me. Well, let's have a listen. See what we can make of it. What do you say?
You are charged with this. Unless we have quiet, I shall ask the officer in charge to clear the courtroom. Edmund Alfred Bickley, you were charged with this indictment. That on the 9th day of April, 1947, at Wyvern's Cross, Long Island, you feloniously, willfully, and with malice aforethought, did kill and murder one Julia Elizabeth Mary Bickley. How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. Gentlemen of the jury, prisoner at the bar.
Doesn't look much like the sort of chap who'd murder his wife, does he? But you never can tell about these quiet, polite little men. Oh, I hope you don't mind my following this scene with you and making a few comments from time to time. I'll try not to get in the way.
The attorney for the prosecution will call the first witness. Will the defendant take the stand? You waive your constitutional rights not to testify. I do. Edmund Bickley, are we to understand that you are a doctor of medicine?
Well, I have conducted a general practice in Wyvern's Cross for 18 years.
Dr. Bickley, was your relationship with your wife, Julia, altogether friendly at the time of her unfortunate death?
I loved her. We were happily married for almost 20 years. Since her passing, my life has been completely empty without my dear wife, Julia. She was everything.
Your dear wife, Julia. I wonder, Dr. Bickley. I wonder if your marriage was as happy as you'd like to have the jury believe. Didn't dear Julia ever get on your nerves? Didn't you ever get sick and tired of dear Julia?
Considered enough to get back from your rounds a little earlier today. I've been suffering from a frightful headache, and there's so much to do. I can't conceive how you expect me to get everything done in time for our guests.
I'm sorry, Julia.
You're sorry? Well, really, Edmund, do you think your being sorry will get the work completed?
All right, tell me what you want done, Julia.
First of all, you'll have to take care of the tennis court.
So that's what you were married to, Dr. Bickley. That's dear Julia. How many tongues does she have in her head, Bickley? Sounds like at least half a dozen.
Tables out on the lawn and some chairs.
Julia, I don't think I'll be able to get all these things done.
My dear Edmund, they've got to be done. And before the guests begin to arrive, you'd better change your clothes.
Julia, have you ever thought that someday I might stop saying, yes, Julia, of course, Julia?
Edmund, that will be quite enough. I forbid you to think such thoughts.
Yes, Julia.
Yes, Julia. That seems to settle that. Or does it?
I've got to get rid of her. I've got to get free from Julia.
Oh, dear.
I know what I've got to do. I've got to kill her.
Bixley, old man, don't overdo it, you know. Murder's a serious business. If you get caught, it can be very annoying.
Hello, Bixley. Hello, Lidston. How's your practice? Oh, fair enough. How are your patients getting on?
No complaints. Say, have you had any cases of uric poisoning lately?
No, not in the past few months.
Well, I've got old Mrs. Kirstenton, you know. I found a new treatment that's practically cured her.
That's interesting, Doctor. What is it?
A vanadium compound.
Vanadium.
The only drawback is that it induces severe headaches, but it really clears out the poison.
Causes headaches, you say?
Similar to migraine, but only temporary. It doesn't taste bad, just a bit acid, like grapefruit.
Sounds like a useful formula to have in the laboratory. Lidston, could you order me some?
I've got more than I can use, Bickley. I'll send you over some.
Well, that's very kind of you, Lidston. I'd like to see how it works.
I say now, Bixley, old man. What's the idea of pottering around in the kitchen so early in the morning?
Edmund?
Oh, yes, Julia?
What are you doing down there in the kitchen?
Oh, just fixing you a little breakfast, Julia, my dear.
Now, isn't that thoughtful of the doctor?
Here you are, my darling. Breakfast in bed.
Well, is it the prize? Now, really, Edmund, you know I don't much care for grapefruit.
Oh, you like this grapefruit, Julia? I fixed it especially.
I'll just bet you did. Oh, you'll like that grapefruit, Julia. It's just what the doctor ordered.
What is it, Julia?
My head. It's splitting.
Oh? Are you getting one of your headaches again?
Oh, what a
Yeah,
pity.
just one of my headaches, Edmund. This is dreadful. I can't stand the pain.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Oh, give me something, Edmund.
Well, I suppose I could give you an injection, Julia. A small one.
Get out your hypodermic needle, Doctor. There are times when that shiny bit of glass and steel can save a person's life. But that same little needle can kill a person, can't it, Doctor? As surely as a bullet through the head. Incidentally, Doctor, how much morphine would it take? 1 grain? 2 grains? 3 grains? Why, that's not enough to kill her.
Hold out your arm.
Yes, Edmund.
There.
Oh, thank you, Edmund.
Oh, I see, Dr. Bixley. You like suspense, too.
Madeline?
Now, who the devil is Madeline?
Madeline, are you home?
Who is it?
It's Edmund. May I come in?
Why, of course, Edmund. Come right on in, Ducky. The door's unlocked.
Ducky.
Hello, Edmund.
Hello.
Oh, Madeline, darling, I've missed you so.
Please, Edmund, we're not alone.
What?
You know Dennis Bourne, don't you?
Doctor?
We've been swimming this morning over at East Hampton.
Yes. How are you, Dennis?
Fine, Doctor. And you?
Dennis, it's leaving.
Thanks for the beach party, Madeline. It was fun.
Goodbye, Denny.
See you all later. Goodbye, Doctor.
Yes. Goodbye. Oh. See here, Madeline. I hope you aren't wasting much time with that fellow.
Now, Ducky, you have no right to be jealous.
Of course, I have no claim on you, Madeline. But you know I'd marry you in an instant, darling. If things were different.
Yes, and things may be different, Madeline.
Edmund.
Sooner than you'd expect.
You're very sweet.
You know, I'm worried about Julia.
Oh?
She's been suffering from terrible headaches. And lately she's been slipping into my laboratory and giving herself shots to relieve the pain. I'm afraid it's getting to be a habit.
How dreadful.
Dreadful.
Yes, I want to help Julia, but I just don't know what I can do.
Oh, I think you're doing more than enough already.
Is that what you came here for, Ducky? To tell me about your wife?
No, Madeline. I came here to be with you.
That's quite a line you've got there, Ducky, for a man who's getting along in years. Well, it all adds up. Every morning, a grapefruit for Julia. Grapefruit a la Bixley. Followed by a headache. Followed by a hypodermic needle. And be sure you tell everyone, Doctor. Tell everyone in town about poor Julia's headaches. And what she does to cure them.
These headaches of mine.
You do?
You're causing them.
I?
It's all the result of anxiety, Edmund. Anxiety over the shameful way you're carrying on with that Madeline Cranmere.
Oh, then you know about Madeline.
Oh, do you think I'm an utter fool? I have eyes and ears. The shameful affair must stop, Edmund, at once.
I'm in love with Madeline.
Oh, don't talk nonsense. Oh, my head. My head. Oh, you must give me some relief.
Julia, I want you to give me a divorce so that I can marry the woman I love.
Oh.
That's a wise move, Bixley. Give her a chance to get out of your life.
Julia.
Maybe you won't have to kill her after all.
Julia, I asked you a question. Will you give me a divorce?
No, I'll never give you a divorce. You'll remain married to me, Edmund, for as long as I live.
Odd that she should put it that way, isn't it, Bixley?
Oh, no. Give me something to relieve this pain.
Yes, Julia. Will you please hold a syringe for a moment, dear?
That was clever. It's safer if you have her fingerprints on the syringe. Now, how many are you going to give her this time, Doctor? 3 grains? 4? 5? Oh, take it easy, old chap. Isn't 10 grains of morphine a lethal dose? 11? 12? I say, Doctor, is this it? Is this the moment? 14? 15? 5.
Hold out your arm.
Yes, Edmund.
There.
Well, so long, Julia. Yet, Bixley? Let's see now. It takes about 20 minutes to die by morphine. And about the same time to drive up to Madeline Cranmere's house. If you take the time to enjoy the scenery. Nice day, isn't it, Bixley?
Madeline? Madeline, darling, are you home? Oh, hello there, Dennis.
Hello.
Where's Madeline?
She asked me to give you a message.
Oh?
She doesn't want to see you anymore. She's engaged to be married to me.
What? Where is she? Where is she? I've got to talk to her.
She doesn't want to see
Madeline!
you. She doesn't
Madeline,
want
where
to
are
see
you? Madeline!
Edmund, you shouldn't have tried to see me.
Well, this is all nonsense, of course.
No, Edmund. I love Denny. That's all there is to it.
I'll tell you what you're going to do, Madeline.
Ducky, you're hurting me.
You're going to break off this ridiculous engagement. We'll drive to Connecticut tonight and be married. Immediately.
What about Julia?
Julia's dead.
Dead? Oh.
Oh, Dr. Bickley, you aren't supposed to know that Julia's dead. Yet?
Hello. Well, yes, Dr. Bickley's here. Is anything wrong? Oh. Well, that's dreadful. Yes, I'll tell him right away.
No rush, Dennis. He knows. And so does Madeline.
Of the Alfred Hitchcock Show, and this week's story, Malice Aforethought by Francis Iles, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, dramatized and produced by Jerome Lawrence and Robert E. Lee.
Lonesome, Doctor? Funeral, though. And those tears of yours were very nicely played, Doctor. Very effective scene. Isn't it remarkable how quiet a woman gets after you give her 15 grains of morphine?
Hello. I want to speak with Madeline Cranmere. I know perfectly well she's there, Dennis. And it's very important that I speak with her. Now, you please tell Madeline that I... Hello. Hello.
Wonder what Madeline is thinking, Doctor. Too bad you made that slip about Julia when you weren't supposed to know she was dead. Oh, well, maybe Madeline's forgotten about it. Maybe.
It wouldn't have happened if she hadn't thrown me over for that playboy. I hate her. I hate Madeline Cranmere.
Talking to yourself, Bickley?
Oh, Lidston. Hello.
Excuse me for coming straight in. I saw your light was on.
Yes, sit down. Well, I'm glad to see you, Doctor. How's your practice?
No complaints. Sorry about Julia. Must have been quite a shock.
Well, Lidston, we all have our burdens to bear.
Just how did it happen, Bickley? If it isn't too painful for you to talk about.
Oh, no, I don't mind. Of course, you heard all those ugly rumors that were going around about Julia giving herself injections of morphine. Well, she must have taken an overdose. That's all.
Too bad. Fine woman.
Oh, the best.
You can uncross your fingers now, Dr. Bickley.
Say, Bickley, remember that vanadium compound I sent you, the headache stuff?
What? Oh, yes. The antidote for uric poisoning.
Well, old Mrs. Crustenton's had a relapse, and I'm afraid I'll have to borrow some of it back from you. Hope you don't mind.
Why, well, it's all gone.
Oh? Did you have a case of uric poisoning, too? Who was it?
No, not exactly. I was making some experiments.
Oh, some experiments. Well, no matter. I'll order some more. I have to go on home, Bickley.
It's kind of you to stop by.
Getting late, you know.
Yes.
Say, Bickley.
Yes?
One other thing. What was it made Julia start taking morphine? Headaches?
Yes, a tumor of some sort, or migraine. Oh, well, we'll never know.
No, I don't suppose we ever shall. Well, good night, Bickley.
He's on to you. A sure fake Bickley. He's figured out exactly how you got rid of Julia. And if Lidston and Madeline Cranmere ever go to the police together, you're probably hanged. Oh, pardon me, Doctor, I forgot. The state of New York employs electricity.
you to come to my little party. I just thought we ought to establish friendly relations again all around.
Well, it was good of you to ask us, Dr. Bickley.
Well, frankly, Dennis, I hardly expected you.
But you didn't think I'd come alone, did you, Edmund? Without my new husband?
Oh, have you and Dennis actually tied the knot? Well, now, isn't that grand? Please accept my congratulations.
Thank you, Doctor. Very sporting of you.
Not at all. Do you two know Dr. Lidston?
I don't believe we've met.
No.
This is Dennis Bourne and Madeline Cranmer. Oh, Mrs. Bourne, I'm always...
Now, this is a curious thing to do, Dr. Bickley. What have you got up your sleeve? Deliberately bringing together the two people who can prove you're a murderer.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll just step out into the kitchen and see if the refreshments are ready.
Oh, refreshments.
Oh, you're fixing the refreshments, are you, Doctor? What'll it be, grapefruit? Or aren't you going to bother with suspense this time?
I hope you all like devil ham sandwiches.
Oh, I simply adore them.
Madeline, you don't know what you're saying. I have an idea. Why don't you go on a nice diet, old girl? Say, Bickley, what's that yellow stuff you're mixing with the mayonnaise? That stuff from the test tube? Are you putting a little extra devil into the deviled ham?
Well, here we are. Everybody fall to, help yourselves.
Oh, don't these look good?
They look almost good enough to eat. Almost.
I'm going to eat one of these, even if it does spoil my dinner.
Dr. Lidston, you'll be amazed how many dinners that sandwich is going to spoil.
Hold on, Dr. Bickley. Don't I get any?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want a sandwich, Dennis?
I'm starved.
Well, I'll go out and fix you something else.
Oh, don't bother. I'll take one of these.
Oh, no,
You tried to stop him, Doctor. No reason why young Dennis should go the way of Lidston and Madeline. But what could you do?
Do you feel well enough to talk now, Dr. Bickley? I had quite a distressing night. Afraid I must have eaten some spoiled meat that disagreed with me.
Hey, you're not the only person that had a bad night. That's why I have to talk to you, Doctor. I'm Lieutenant Russell, Homicide Squad.
Homicide? You mean some of my guests have died?
I didn't say that. You put two and two together pretty fast, Doctor. Why did you feed poisoned sandwich to Mr. and Mrs. Bourne and Dr. Lidston yesterday afternoon?
That's absurd. The meat was spoiled. That could have happened to anyone. Why, you can see for yourself. I'm sick of bed.
Do you have typhoid fever?
Typhoid?
Well, you have it on pretty good authority, Doctor, that lethal quantities of typhoid fever germs don't usually breed on deviled ham sandwiches unless somebody puts them there.
Typhoid? How in the world could...
What happened, Bickley, old man? Did you put the wrong germs from the wrong test tube on the wrong deviled ham sandwiches?
Dr. Bickley, I'm afraid I'll have to arrest you on the charge of murder.
Did they both die? Madeline and Lidston both?
You're arrested on the charge of murdering your wife.
My wife?
Now, how the deuce did Julia pop up among the deviled ham sandwiches?
But you've no evidence at all.
You shouldn't have said that, Bickley.
You'll hear the evidence, Doctor, when the time comes.
Order. We must have order in this court. Proceed. Will Dr. Harry Lidston take the stand, please? Dr. Lidston. Dr. Lidston?
No, it's not a ghost, Bickley. It's your old friend Lidston in the flesh. He looks tired, and he's lost about 20 pounds. But I'm afraid your diet of deviled ham sandwiches reduced him, but didn't quite finish him off. Too bad.
Dr. Lidston, do you know the prisoner at the bar? I most certainly do. What transactions have you had with the prisoner which might have a bearing on this case? On the 14th of March, just past, I delivered to Dr. Bickley a quantity of a newly developed vanadium compound which is useful in counteracting uric poisoning. However, this compound also induces severe headaches, and it is my belief that Dr. Bickley employed this quantity of medicine.
Well, there it is, Bickley, right out in the open. The whole scheme you thought was so clever, so utterly beyond apprehension, and the incredible thing is the way that idiot Lidston has guessed everything.
Which caused her death. Thank you, Dr. Lidston. Will Mrs. Madeline Bourne please take the stand? Mrs. Madeline Bourne.
Oh, this looks nasty, Bickley. Madeline got over the sandwiches, too. She is looking at you with a very friendly expression, Ducky. I see she's dressed all in black.
Mrs. Bourne, suppose you tell us in your own words exactly what happened on the second floor of your house in Wyvern Cross on the morning of the 9th day of April, 1947.
Well, the prisoner, Dr. Bickley, burst into my room and demanded that I break off my engagement with Dennis, my late husband. Said I must marry him. I asked him, what about his wife, Julia? And he replied, Julia is dead.
Mrs. Bourne, was this before or after Dr. Bickley received the telephone call informing him of his wife's death?
Immediately before, while the prisoner was treating me.
Seems to be getting a little warm in here, doesn't it, Doctor? All your affairs in order? Is your will all made out? Life insurance premiums paid up? It better be, because it's getting around in insurance circles that you're not a very good risk.
The defense will summarize.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is a scandalous outrage against justice that the defendant should even be on trial before you. Who is Dr. Bickley? An outstanding physician, public servant of long standing, man of unsullied reputation, a man whose
this sounds more like it with the old boy.
His wife, Julia, was unquestioned in the community. And what is the evidence against him? The dubious testimony of one Madeline Bourne, which cast some vague doubt over the exact moment at which Dr. Bickley learned of his dear wife's death. And as for the testimony of the prisoner's colleague, Dr. Lidson, his only evidence proves that the defendant was in possession of certain chemical compounds which every doctor of medicine in the United States is authorized to have in his laboratory. What sort of evidence is this? I represent to you that the prosecution's case against Dr. Bickley is nothing but guesswork, and that Dr. Bickley is as innocent of this heinous crime as you or I.
Prisoner will stand to hear the verdict of this court.
Here it comes, Doctor. Wyvern Cross or Sing Sing. Consultation room or the chair.
The jury finds the defendant not guilty. This court is adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for a very fair trial. Well, thank you again. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Oh, goodbye, Lieutenant. Thank you, Paul.
Just a minute, Doctor.
Yes, Lieutenant?
It is my duty to arrest you on this indictment. That you feloniously and with malice of forethought did kill, by means of poisoned food, one Dennis Bourne.
Well, poor old Doc. He sort of liked Dennis. And he never meant for Denny to eat that deviled ham sandwich. But on the 19th of September, poor Dr. Bickley went to the chair for poisoning Dennis Bourne. Now, let that be a lesson to you. I tell you, murder's a serious business. And the slightest slip can be disastrous. As for me, I think I'll stick to motion picture directing. For a while, at least. The occupational hazards aren't quite so high.
You've been listening to the Alfred Hitchcock Show. Original music was composed and conducted by Claude Sweeten and arranged by David Stretch, with Dr. Samuel Hoffman at the theremin. Members of the cast included Joseph Kearns, Edmund McDonald, Jeff Corey, Janet Waldo, Norman Field, Margaret Brayton, John Daner, and Tom Holland. Your announcer is Owen James. Mr. Hitchcock was our director, and dramatization and production were by Lawrence and Leach.